everybody. Happy November. I never know when it starts, when the video starts. So, hello. Thank you for popping in. Hopefully, you get to stay for the whole enchilada. It should be a good one this month. As I posted in the comments, this month we ask your higher self why it's grateful for you. And like always, every time I finally get what the topic is going to be, I always wonder what could I possibly read? What would your higher self possibly have to say about why and when it's grateful for you? So, we'll see. Like I said, it's always I don't know, kind of a wheel of fortune type event every month. So, anyway, so I have a couple links for you. Hang on, let me pop over to my. The first one is you may be concerned about what's going on the planet. Whether you're watching the environment or political stuff or social stuff, I think I can help you navigate what's going on in the world. And it's a meditation group I do. It's free. So it's every Sunday at 7:30 a.m. Pacific time. But I posted the link there. Now, if you decide to join the group, you don't have to come live. There's a sign-up sheet there. And if you sign up, then every Sunday after I'm done doing the live event, and it's always a different topic that's going on in the world. That's why it's called Current Events. I'll email you the meditation. And I might talk for, I don't know, 10 minutes on the topic, and then the meditation might be 10 or 15 minutes. So it's probably a half hour tops of a time investment. But there's no reason for us to get fussy or frightened. And if you sometimes are either one of those or maybe both of those at the same time, when you look out at what's happening in the world, maybe join the group. Okay. Now, because it's November and Thanksgiving is happening in the United States this month, I kind of figured that's why Ankiaya picked gratitudes. So I'm grateful that you're here. So please let me help you live through the events that are happening by joining the meditation group. Also, I'd like to gift you a healing. Hang on, let me get back over here. My advanced clairvoyant students offer free healings. So if you or somebody you know needs a healing, you can fill out that form. And we don't contact you. We don't even take your email address. We just need the name of the person who needs the healing and what the healing is. And you can fill out as many as you want. And you might keep that link as things happen in your life. You might think of it as a church's prayer list. Now, the advanced clairvoyant students will use the tools that they've learned to heal whoever the request is for, whether it's you or somebody you know. Hi, everybody. Now, also, I wanted to gift you, hang on, let me get back over to my links. Oh, yeah, this one. There's monthly specials at Golden Rose. So if you want to peruse them and see if there's anything that stands out to you, those are the monthly specials. And you can bookmark that link because it's a page on my website that I update every month with specials. Now, the last thing, and then I'll quit posting links. The last thing is something that you can do for me. As an even exchange of energy, maybe you'll pop over and review my business, Golden Rose Psychic Services, on Google. So there you go. All right, so let's talk gratitudes. I think, and I'm not sure, but if a person wants to bring their spirituality into their everyday life and not just have it be something that's done off to the side, like I'm going to go do yoga, I'm going to go for a walk in nature, I'm going to meditate. But if one really wants to integrate spirituality into the moment, I always think gratitudes are the way to go, right? Just being grateful. One of the things I do, I was making eggs the other day, and I thought, I'm so grateful for the marketer, right, where I bought them, the store or the farmer's market. I'm so grateful who brought the eggs to the market. I'm so grateful who took care of the chickens. And of course, I'm very grateful for the chickens. So I kind of go upstream when I'm being grateful for my food and water. But I have a story to tell you. I work out a lot and I play racquetball, so I have a lot of sweaty clothes. And one time I threw all my clean clothes, after washing and drying them, threw them on my bed, and I'm like, gosh dang it, I gotta fold this laundry again. That's what I thought. And then all of a sudden I'm like, what am I thinking? I know I have had lifetimes where I had to walk 2 miles to a river and bang my clothes with 2 rocks to get them clean. So that totally changed my disgruntledness about having to fold laundry again. I was so grateful for my washer and dryer. So I think that might be called mindfulness. And that's the part I'm not sure about. I've never Googled mindfulness to see what it says it is. But to me, that's, again, one way to really stay spiritually present is to do gratitudes. So, of course, that's the topic for today. We're going to ask your higher self why it's grateful for you. But when I was thinking about the topic and being grateful and doing, trying to make it a point to do gratitudes throughout my day, I started to think of the flip side of that. Like, what's the flip side of gratitude? Maybe entitlement? Maybe. So I'm grateful for you because I get to read you. It's no fun to be a psychic if you don't have anybody to read. And I hope you're grateful for this live stream. Now, while I may not get to each one of you, hopefully something that comes through in someone else's reading that you'll find benefit in. So let's get going. I'm done talking. So let's spin the Wheel of Fortune. Megan. Hi, Megan. Thanks for popping in. I sure do appreciate it. I think I already said that, but I'll probably say it a million more times. Oh, I forgot to tell you about the spammers. Because one just popped up on my screen. Golden Rose doesn't know those people. Golden Rose never contacts you, except we had to send out an email blast once a month, right? But not through Facebook. You're never talking to me. They even create business pages with my logo and my image, and you think you're talking to me. No, you won't talk to me on Facebook. I won't just message you and say, hey, I've got a message for you. No. Okay, so we've gotten that out of the way. Okay, Megan, let's get to business here. Hang on, let me get plugged in here. Okay, let's see what your higher self says. Okay, this is an interesting metaphor or image that I'm looking at. It's talking about you flying, soaring. It's grateful for you when you soar, which is kind of weird, like SOAR. So I don't know what that means, so I'm gonna bark up your higher self's tree and let's see what it says. It's when you don't let anything stand in your way. Okay, so I guess boldness, being bold. Because as I go back to the image of you flying, I'm my awareness is pulled to what's underneath you. And so they're like obstacles. So your higher self likes when you just fly right over the obstacles. So let me talk to Ankiyaya. I'll introduce him in a second because he's tapping me on the shoulder now. If you guys don't know who he is, I'll introduce, but let me just talk to him. Okay, so he's going to give you a healing. Okay, because sometimes when you're soaring, there's like, well, think of a kite tail. So in the image that I'm looking at, he fast forwarded it for me more. Sometimes you drop down that kite tail and somebody grabs a hold of it, right? Like you're flying over my head and you've got a tail and I grab a hold of it, right? So that's the healing that he wants to offer, is to, I think, remove the tail, because I think it's easier to change you than it is to change the people that are trying to grab you and pull you back to earth when you're soaring. Okay? So anyway, Ankiyaya, you would think of him as a spirit guide. He stands behind me. That's why I keep pointing, because he gets in the way of what I see. So I'm the reader, and he's the healer. So I don't do anything, right? But like in the case of this reading for Megan, he's going to go and give Megan a healing so that nobody can pull her out of the sky. Let me get more about your higher self and see what this soaring is. I mean, I think I know, but like my question would be, well, when am I soaring? How do I know if I'm soaring? When should I soar? That's one thing I think about my readings. I am a very practical psychic. Like, so how can that help Megan? Oh, Megan, your higher self, just, is so grateful when you soar. Well, what does that mean? How do you do it? How do you know when you're doing it? Let's get to the bottom of it. Let's see. This is what you need. This makes sense to me now. It's in your head. Okay? Like, let's say you have an ambition to create something, to experience something, and your mind latches on to that mental image picture. And then all of a sudden, there's things in your head that goes, oh, well, I can't do that. And what's interesting to me, Megan, is that those are the other people trying to catch your kite tail. Well, you think it's you, right? So if I'm you and I want to take a rocket to the moon, and I start to think, oh gosh, I'm too old, right? My body wouldn't do well in space. Now I don't want to eat that food out of that little those little plastic bags, right? If I'm you, I'm like, wait a minute. Me thinking I'm too old is somebody else's information. Me thinking that I won't want to suck gruel out of a plastic bag, that's somebody else's. I'm going to stay focused on the rocket ship to the moon. Okay? So I think that gives you a little bit more practical help instead of just saying, "Oh, I really like when you soar. Don't let anybody pull you back down to earth." It's so those things in your head, I think psychologists would call them tapes that you play. What I would call them is pictures in your field, bits of information that's really somebody else's information. It's not yours. So when you catch yourself having a lofty ambition, right? And then all of a sudden your mind starts to poo-poo it. When you catch yourself doing it, of course you have to catch yourself doing it, right? Then that's the time to go, no, 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 no. If any of this critique isn't mine, let it go. And then go back and think about your ambition and see if it comes up again, right? So I guess what I'm saying is, when you've got a great idea and then all of a sudden you start to poo-poo it, check to see if that poo-poo is really somebody else so you can soar. All right. I think we sorted that one out. That's what it meant. Okay, let's spin the Wheel of Fortune. Christine Marie. Hi. Thanks for popping in. I just jot the names down so I don't double dip. Hang on. Let me get regrounded. Just make sure everything's flowing. Excuse me. Okay, we're ready. Let's see. Your higher self is grateful when you speak your mind. It's showing me, it's funny, all your higher selves are over there, right? I always read the astral on my left and the earth on my right. So that's why you see me pointing in different directions. Your higher self opens its mouth really big and attempts to speak, right? So it's grateful for you when you speak your mind. Now, as I say that, for some reason, I want to look in your energy field over here. Okay, so let me just kind of say hello to your chakras. Okay, I'm going to send Anki Yaya in to give you a healing on your throat chakra. Okay, so let me just watch that for a minute. Yeah, well, that makes sense what he's doing. The throat chakra, and most of the chakras, except for the first and the seventh, the one at the top and the bottom, they go through your body. So, like, the throat chakra is a tornado with a small part plugged in the front of your throat and another tornado in the back with the small part, and they meet in the middle of your throat. Okay, it's just to give everybody a mental image picture. So what Anki Yaya did is he went over, he stood, and he grabbed the front and the back and he stretched them out. Okay? So, but I'll tell you this, when I heard or saw your higher self open its mouth, and the message was to speak your mind, I instantly got a hit that that's why I wanted to give you a healing. So I'm going to go back to Anki Yaya and ask him about it. But I instantly knew that sometimes you don't know what your mind is. And just kind of like Megan's reading, you have to, if the message is speak your mind, well, you have to know what's in your mind, right? Like, I think that you waffle. Okay, so let's see what Anki Yaya says about, and really what this would be metaphysically, my friends, is connecting Christine's crown chakra to her throat chakra, right? Because this is the chakra that thinks, that knows what's on her mind. So those two chakras have to be connected. In other words, if I'm Christine, oh, something's on my mind, connect it to my throat and say it. Okay, so that's what we're attempting now. So hang on, let's watch that. Okay, when I look at the connection between the crown and the throat, your father's energy is in there. So when you're attempting to speak your mind, there's a filter from your father that I think what happens is you get the thought and you're going to say it, but as it's coming down to the throat, it hits that filter and bounces back up to the crown. And so the way that would feel is like, well, I believe ABC. Like if I thought that, if I'm you and I thought that, well, before I could get it down to my throat, it bounces back up and I'm like, uh-oh, maybe it's XYZ, I believe. Maybe it's the actual, opposite. So anyway, we're going to remove that. Okay, so let me watch Anki Yaya take that out. And it wasn't put there maliciously. It was protection. Something that your father told you, be careful what you say, or be careful how you say things, or you can't say those things to those certain types of people like your boss, or, like that. Okay, so it's clearing, but I'll tell you what I think might help. You know how I seen on TV the way a psychologist, I think it's called free association, where they're working with a client and they say, okay, if I say boy, what do you say? And of course, we say girl, right? I think that type of exercise would be good for you, where the first thing that comes in your mouth, just say it. you know, if I was you, right, I would feel weird doing that in front of other people. So I might, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to get a thought to light up in your crown, and you just blurt it out, right? So even those other things we've seen on in movies where they have those ink blots, that don't look like anything, and you're supposed to look at it and blurt out what it looks like to you. Things like that would be really good in reinforcing that line of communication from the crown to the mouth to the throat. Yeah. So I don't know how you can do that, but maybe there's something online where you're shown an image and you just blurt something out. I know what might be good: a deck of cards, tarot cards, right? And just grab the card and pick it up and go, that's a mother. This one is about love. This one is, without knowing anything about the cards, just whatever your eye falls on, and you say what the card's about. So you get that free association. Yeah. So, and this, because again, your higher self's very grateful when you speak your mind. Yeah. So anyway, I hope that helps. That was a very interesting one, my friend. Thank you for being here today. I learned a lot. I've never seen anything like that. Okay. Boy, we sure do have a spammer. And don't worry, you guys don't even have to interact with them. I'll block them and report them after the live stream. So just see if you can put them on ignore. Okay, spinning the Wheel of Fortune. Ben. Hi, Ben. Okay. All right, let me get plugged in. I gotta get my feet. I have a blanket in my lap and I need my feet flat on the ground. If there's a little ripple under my foot, it throws me off. I know that's weird, but let me just get regrounded. Okay, we're ready. We're all plugged in and ready. Let me find your higher self. Okay, this is about growth. Okay. Your higher self is grateful for your growth. And to me, that's not going to help you much because I don't understand what that means. So you probably don't, right? Like, so let me see if I can nail your higher self down. This is about marching to your own drum, your own path, right? Growing into your own path. And because the image is you're not paying any attention to the people around you, you're just going forward with what you want, what you love, that kind of thing. Okay? So this is very much this growth is about you marching to the beat of a different drummer or something like that. Okay, so I guess I always put myself in your guy's shoes. Well, what would I do if I heard some crazy psychic tell me that? I might notice myself when I am, because remember, I just said it with Christine's reading, right? I'm like, well, if it were me, I wouldn't want to, be around people when I'm free associating because I don't want people to think I'm weird, right? Well, if I'm Ben, I don't care. Yeah, so let's see if Uncle Yaya has anything else. Okay, he's going to give you a healing. Okay. Let me just look at your path. He's working on your energy field so that there's no resistance to walking your own unique path to grow into, onto that path, I guess. But when I look at your path, I think I I don't think there's much indecision about this path that is different from other people. Like maybe what your parents wanted you to be when you grow up or something like that. Yeah, and I was concerned that maybe there was, like maybe you go, well, I don't know, I have any idea what you're talking about, but I think you do. Okay, so, but just realize that your higher self is grateful when you grow down that path as a result of walking this path of marching to a different drummer, um, and the growth you get from doing that, and that's what your higher self is grateful for. And you know what that comes up for me as I hear myself say all that is it must mean that the contracts always goes back to contracts. The contracts that your higher self writes that are different from the people in your life, it's really invested in having those experiences. So it's grateful for you when you do it. So uniqueness, when you allow yourself to be unique. Okay, so, um, and there was some resistance in your energy field. Let me see if it's about 2/3 of it has been released. So maybe one thing you could kind of brainstorm on or kind of do like a thought experiment. If you were all by yourself, right? Like all of a sudden everybody else was gone. Have you guys watched The Society on Netflix? The Society. That's kind of what happens. These kids go on a field trip and they come back and everybody's gone out of their town, right? So anyway, if there was nobody around, what would you want to do? Like what would you want to be? You know, and and mull that over. I feel it has something to do with being creative, like learning to play an instrument or taking an art class or something like that. I feel it's a creative pursuit. It doesn't necessarily have to be art or music. There's many things we create that aren't art or music. Yeah, but that's what I feel like it is. So anyway, I hope that helps you. Okay, let's spin the wheel. Karen Hauser. Hopefully I said that uh, close enough, Karen. I'm sorry, but you know it's you. Okay, hang on. Let me get plugged in. Have you seen a reoccurring theme here? A yawn in between. Okay, let's see. I thought I was going to see this one. Because remember how I told you guys I always, when I get the topic, I always like think, well, what could it be? Could it be this? Could it be that? I kind of thought one might be like this. When you're childlike, your higher self is grateful for you when you're childlike, where you throw off the responsibilities, right? When you're playful and imaginative and you feel that anything is possible. By the way, that's my workshop for this month for beginners. It's called Anything is Possible. If you want to find it, I think it might be on the specials page. I'm not sure. But anyway, Karen, that's what your higher self is grateful for. And again, what that means is that it's written contracts that it wants to experience through you that have childlike energy on them. So if you don't ever run childlike energy, you're not going to do them, and your higher self's going to be, boo, I really wanted to have that experience. So see if you can't do a childlike thing every single day. Like, these are my 10 minutes of childishness. What am I going to do? And I feel that the reason I said that is, again, it's very energetic. It's to get your energy field to run childlike energy. So the more you kind of exercise that muscle of childishness, the more likely you are to live through those contracts. And some of them are healing contracts, self-healing contracts. So what I'm saying with that is being a responsible adult or parent, right? Running those energies would inhibit the healing that you could get from running a more childlike energy. Yeah, so maybe I might think of it this way. I might think, okay, so let's say I have an inner child, right? What does that inner child want to do for the 10 minutes that I let it run the show? What does it want to do? Does it want to go in the garden and, get the dirt wet, take off my shoes and let the mud squirt between my toes? Does it want to finger paint? Okay. Because obviously, some of your self healing contracts have that flavor of energy on them. So exercise your childish muscles. I hope that helps you. Okay. And again, I'll say it might be best not to privately message the person spamming the. I'm not trying to give you advice, but I'm not sure I would do that. Gosh, there's quite a few of them. I can hardly see you guys through them. I'll just say, I've said this before, but I would assume if they're authentic psychics, that they would have their own live stream, right? Versus trying to cherry pick people out of someone else's. I'm just saying. Okay. Marlin Pink. Hello, my friend. This month we're reading When and Why is Your Higher Self grateful for you. This is like great gratitude month for Thanksgiving. So there you go. That's what we're up against. Hang on, let me get regrounded. Okay, let's see what your higher self says. Your higher self is grateful for you when you um, dot the I's and cross the T's. Okay? I don't know if you like to dot the I's and cross the T's. Some people really do. Sometimes I do. Other times I don't. I don't have the attention span for it. Um, so I guess organization, and maybe you could take that as a call to get a little bit more organized. Whether it's your physical environment, maybe your finances, maybe it's just organizing your underwear drawer. I don't know why my underwear drawer always gets unsorted. I don't know why. But anyway, it's about organization. Okay, so let's dig deeper and see what this is about. Okay. What your higher self thinks organization will do for you is clear your mind. So I got to tell you guys something. They say, I was reading, or maybe I heard it on NPR, I don't know. But it's that people who might have a touch of like post traumatic stress disorder and need everything in a certain way. Like during the pandemic, that the way they handled the stress of the pandemic was to make sure that everything was in order, being very diligent, and that actually took their anxiety away. So I think it's a little bit like that. So I don't know. If I got this in a reading, I might try it. Because we're all used to how our stream of consciousness runs, right? And so if I'm you and my higher self says that getting organized clears your mind, I'm like, okay, I'll give it a shot. Let me open that underwear drawer and start folding again, right? But look around and see if getting everything organized after it's done really does quiet your mind. Yeah, I would wonder that. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. I'll clean out my closets, donate things. Maybe my garage needs to be. How about the silverware drawer? Let's go. Should we talk silverware drawer? So, or that one junk drawer that you have in your kitchen or your desk. Yeah, maybe that. So, but that's what your higher self says. That it's grateful for you when you dot the I's and cross the T's because it quiets your mind. And again, if we relate that back to the contracts it's writing, what that means is you'll be more likely to fulfill those highest and best contracts that it's writing because you'll have more peace on the inside. And instead of your mind going, oh boy, I got to do this, I got to do that, you'll be thinking, what do I want to do right now? Oh, I think I'll go to the beach, right? And oh, guess what? You have this great spiritual experience at the beach. But if your mind's going, oh, you got to do this, I got to do that, you would never have the peace inside mentally to go, I think I'm going to go to the beach. Okay. I hope that helps you. Okay. Sonia! Hello, my friend. Hello, hello. Okay, let's get to it here. My blanket keeps getting tangled under my feet. Hang on, okay. Okay, let's see what it said. Okay, I think it's about your crown chakra. When I look at your higher self and ask for the message, I see a halo over your higher self's head. And you and I know that you do have a halo in your crown chakra. So I guess it's grateful for your personal power. Yeah. So for those that don't know what Sonia and I are talking about, in the advanced clairvoyant program, we learn about these rings that are in everybody's crown chakra. And the middle ring creates an energy that's called personal power. And there's a certain way we run it through our body chakras and aura. So maybe, if you haven't played with that in a while, Sonia, that might be good. But I also got this, that it happens during your music. Yeah. So, but it's grateful that you run it, that you dip into it, is what I feel like. Let's see if Uncle Yaya will say more about it. Oh my gosh, you've come so far. That's what it is. It's Uncle Yaya was pulling my awareness to your past, and I get in your 20s. Like, oh my gosh, the difference between you now and you back then is like amazing. So and all of this transformation has come from exercising and running your personal power. And I don't mean just metaphysically running your personal power. I mean your music, everything. So your higher self is very, very grateful for that. And I do think that, who was it? I think it was Ben, when we were talking about, directions that we could go in our life, right? I feel that you could have easily went in another direction. But your higher self is so grateful that you continued on in the direction that you're going. And that you found what would you say? The fortitude, the courage to what do I want to say? Not take what would seem like an easier path, because it wouldn't have been. So I hope that helps you. Keep up the good work, my friend. And maybe you might post in the comments a little bit of your work if people haven't experienced it yet. That'd be great. Okay. Anna Corinne Riz, and I'm not even going to slaughter the rest of your name. Anne Corinne. Hi, my friend. Okay, let's get to it. We're finding out what your higher self is grateful for you, why and when it's grateful for you. So hang on, let me get plugged in. Okay, let's see. It's when you see the best in things and in people, when you're optimistic, when the cup is half full. That's when your higher self is grateful for you. And again, everything goes back to the contracts that the higher self is writing. Now, higher selves do other things on the astral, right? I call it their day job. I don't know what it is that they do on the astral forever, right? But in relation to us, it's all about contract writing. So when your higher self says that it's grateful for you when you see the cup is half full, right? How that relates to the contracts it's writing is you'll be more apt to take chances. And some of the contracts that it wants to live through have a higher frequency than when you think the cup is half empty. So let's talk about that for a second. Let's say that my higher self, and what we'll do is we'll use the names of colors to be frequencies of energy, right? So let's say that my higher self has written a lot of contracts and they're yellow, okay? But here on Earth, I don't ever run yellow. I'm always orange. Always. Right? I don't even entertain the thought of being yellow. So I don't see any of those opportunities. Like they could be right in front of me, but I can't see them because I'm orange and they're yellow. Okay? So what your higher self is saying is that it has some really fun adventures in store when you think the cup is half full. So when you think about that practically, right, what would you do? Maybe you'd practice, right? Maybe you hear about something that doesn't sound so great and your knee-jerk reaction is like, man, that sucks. And then if you're going to try to exercise, everybody's exercising muscles today. If you try to exercise your cup is half full muscles, you'd think, well, wait a minute. How could that be beneficial? Right? How could that be beneficial? I'll give you an example. My truck broke down the other day. And you would think, well, that's a sucky thing, right? To have your truck break down. And so the tow truck driver came, and there was two of them, right? And I really enjoyed talking to the one that wasn't working. He was teaching the other guy how to do it, right? So I had a chance to talk to him. I really enjoyed talking to him. So after I'd been towed and, lifted home and all that kind of stuff, I thought about him again. And I told Uncle Guy, I said, go give that guy a healing, right? Now, that, so I could look at that situation and go, oh man, the cup is half empty. But then I started to think, well, why would my higher self contract that to happen? Well, maybe it was to talk to this guy, right? So I'm going to send him a healing. Do you see? So you might take something that doesn't seem to be such a great event or circumstance, and because your higher self is saying, hey man, think the cup is half full, not half empty, you can exercise that muscle. See if you can come up with some way that it would be beneficial. Yeah. Like the pandemic, right? Well, I know for me, the pandemic, I think, and maybe everybody has done this, like, how did that affect me, right? Well, one thing I realized about myself is I'm much more emotionally mature than I thought I was. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it really did bring out, I think, some, sometimes my best, my highest and best. Yeah, remember like walking on the street and, catching glimpse of one other Homo sapien and going, hi, you really do still exist. Right. Which I wouldn't do that now. I wouldn't be like, hi, everybody, So, anyway, exercise your cup is half full muscles. So, I hope that helps you. Okay, let's see. Sue, I saw you sneak in here. And again, happy belated birthday. Okay, let's get wiggled in here. Let's see. Okay, we're all plugged in and ready. Let's see. This is about shifting frequencies. Okay, I'm going to say it this way. Your higher self likes to go through a range of frequencies. What can I say? Um, it doesn't like flatline. It wants things to go like this, right? To shift and change, shift and change. So if one day you're one way and one day you're the next, or the next day you're different, your higher self likes that. It almost sounds like your higher self might get bored. Like if you just had like a mundane life, I think your higher self would get bored with that. It likes a lot of twists and turns. So it's grateful when you twist and turn. So, when I try to wrap my mind around what that means, I would think having a lot of different experiences. Yeah. And you probably may not enjoy when today is like tomorrow, is like the next day, is like the next day, is like the next day. I don't think you enjoy that, and I definitely know your higher self doesn't enjoy that. It likes to mix things up. So the more you can do different things, different days, your higher self is grateful for that. I definitely heard this on NPR, where this, I can't remember what the context was, but this guy was talking about, I'm sure he wrote a book, was talking about ruts, right? And I am such a creature of habit. I love to do the same thing. I love to eat the same thing. But one thing he said that caught my ear was, he said, don't even sit in the same chair in your living room every night. Move around, right? And I was like, well, that's kind of interesting, you know? Like, for me, I have a queen size bed and I sleep alone, but I always sleep on the same side of the bed. Why do I do that? Right? So anyway, mix it up. Mix it up. Your higher self likes that. All right. Let's see. Andrea Freemantle. Hi. Thank you so much for popping in. Okay, let's get to it. Hang on, let me get plugged in. We'll see when and why your higher self is grateful for you. Let's see. Okay. Okay, everybody's ready. Here we go. Let me talk to your higher self. Okay, this is about, I'll say it this way, stopping and smelling the roses, or taking a deeper look at something. I'll tell you what it did, and it's a metaphor. It took a picture and then is looking at the picture. Yeah, it's kind of funny. So, what it means is maybe don't, maybe it means not being so nonchalant, unaware. And we did kind of talk about when we first started. I'm not sure if you were here, my friend, but we did talk about gratitudes because it's November and Thanksgiving. So that's why the whole thing today is gratitudes. But I commented at first that, for me, it really enriches my life to be grateful for things, right? Sometimes I think, we've all lived this really, really prosperous life, right? Where we have water coming out of the faucet, we have food either in the fridge or the pantry or the store. We just go get it, right? We have all the clothes we could possibly need. And our other lifetimes weren't that way, right? So your higher self is asking you to maybe, when you can, don't take life superficially, right? Really stop and smell the roses. Oh, that was another thing about walking during the pandemic. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but I could perceive my neighbors' houses so much better than just driving by, right? Like I could look down the side yard and go, well, what kind of plant is that? That's interesting what they did over there. It was almost like the pace that my body could walk, my my awareness could take in so much more. Yeah, I was aware of so much more. So, whatever, I'm trying to think, okay, if I got that message in a reading, what would I do? Again, I might just try to challenge myself for one thing a day to really go deeper into it, right? Like if I am going to go for a walk, I'm going to make it an effort while I'm listening to my audiobook to really look at the foliage, or, you know what I mean? Like instead of just walking by and just go, you know, maybe I might, make it a point to go sit outside and notice the birds flying or the garden or whatever. So if it resonates with you, practice, right? Find something every single day that you're going to go deeper into, that usually is just superficial. Yeah. And just see what happens. Yeah. So again, if we relate it back to your contracts, going deeper into some parts of your life, there's more goodies, right? Maybe, I really want to be healthier, right? So I'm going to focus on that instead of just going, um, either not even considering the fact that I want to be healthier, or thinking, oh, I'll just take some vitamins. But if I really stay focused on it, if I'm you, I'd be like, yeah. And, I need a new pillow in my bed. This one, is worn out, and I could probably do better with my neck and shoulders if I got another pillow. And now while I'm thinking about that, You know what I mean? So go deeper into something. Pick something every day. Okay. Yes, I gotcha. Okay, let's see. Vanessa. Vanessa L. I'll just say that. Because I don't want to embarrass myself or offend you by trying to pronounce your last name. Okay, let's get to it. Hang on. Okay, we're ready. Let's see. Okay, it's about control, but it's about control of yourself. And I think there's two sides to the coin. Your higher self is grateful for you when you're in control of yourself. The other side of the coin is when you don't let people control you. So yes, there is some I got to control myself. Like how we, that, you know, moderation or, yes, I do have to control myself. But the other side is don't let other people control me. It's very interesting. So let's see how that relates to your contracts. So what I'm curious about is, okay, so if you are more in control of yourself and you don't allow others to control you, why is that important to your higher self? It has to have something to do with contracts, right? So let's see. Okay, when you're swayed by other people, we kind of we kind of got close to this, I think, with Megan's reading, or maybe Christine's, I'm not sure. But when you are swayed by other people, you don't notice all the opportunities that your higher self is creating for you. Maybe it was Ben's. I can't remember, but this seems like the same flavor of something that we've talked about earlier. So let me talk to Anki Yaya for a minute. Okay, excuse me. I was asking Anki Yaya how you can implement that, right? I mean, okay, so if I'm you, okay, I'm supposed to control myself and not let other people control me. Okay, how do I do that? I mean, like, what do I focus on? And I think a way to do it is with self discipline. But you don't have to pick something icky. It's like, oh, I'm not going to eat any chocolate chip cookies. I don't think it's like that. I think it's picking something that you'll be successful at, right? Like, for example, okay, I am going to exercise more control over myself. And one of the ways I'm going to do that is every morning when I first wake up, I'm going to go outside and I'm going to greet the day. I'm just going to look up at the sky and I'm going to greet the new day and be grateful for it. And so I now have the self discipline to do that. So it should be something you like to do, is what I'm saying, right? And then as I start to get that under my belt, I'm also going to, throughout the day, kind of ask myself, is that person trying to control me? Right? And I don't think that you can't submit to somebody else trying to control you, but just knowing that it's happening. Go, okay, I know that this person really wants me to XYZ, and they're, whether covertly or overtly trying to get me to do it. I acknowledge that, but I'll go ahead and do it. Okay? I think it's probably a way to say it is to be more aware, first of all, of um, maybe treating yourself with the, hey, I'm just going to go welcome the day in every day, and that'll make me feel good, right? Feel like I'm in control. I can control that. And then um, being starting to become a little bit more aware of when other people are trying to control you, whether you decide to do it or not. But the reason that your higher self is saying that is because you'll be able to spot opportunities more. Again, like how I was talking about my higher self writing all these yellow contracts, and I'm only looking at orange here on the earth plane, so I don't ever get to have those fun yellow ones. All right. I have to go do my day job now. I appreciate it. That was fun. I really do enjoy the monthly readings. They're fun. Um, I guess if you are in the United States, I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll be back next month. So until then, we'll call it a healing. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.